Welcome back to another edition of Triathlon Training Explained, powered by TrainingPeaks. Now, there is no escaping the fact that running is a rather tiring business. I mean, by its very nature, it's an all-body activity. It's an impact sport too. And added to this, if done well, it requires a good degree of technique as well. And this can all get, well, rather hard to keep going. Nonetheless, running is a very important skill that we should all really be able to master. And on the simplest level, it's a great way to stay healthy, and for many, it's an excellent tool to help them slim down as well. So on this video, I'm going to help you with some tips for before, during, and after your run to help you avoid getting fatigued. Now, before we go on to talk about tips during running, I do have a few for before running too, and the first of those is stay healthy. Now, it goes without saying that you need to be in good shape and healthy to run efficiently, and the usual standards apply here. Drink plenty of water, loads of fruit and veg in your diet, try and avoid junk food, because if we've got a good diet, then that means generally we're going to be keeping our weight down, and that helps us to run without being as tired. So now for my second tip for before we're running, and that's cross training. Now, whether or not running is your sole focus for training, in all likelihood you're likely to be fitting in some other ways to keep fit, whether that be swimming, cycling, or popping down to the gym for some strength work or for core work. And adding in these cross training activities will just help improve your stamina and build your overall endurance. Right, now for my final tip before we go running, and that's talking about the warm-up. Now, whether you're going running or any form of exercise for that matter, a good warm-up is essential. Not only does it prep our body for what's coming ahead, but it also reminds our brain that we're going to do some proper exercise. So for a run-specific warm-up, I always feel that we should include some dynamic stretching and some light mobility work like leg swings and some hip circling, and also include some static stretches as well, just to prep the body and get it ready for the run ahead. So now that we've got that all taken care of, now it's time to focus on the tips for during our run. So on to during the run. My first tip is related to breathing. Now, it's long been discussed in running circles whether you should breathe in through your nose or out through your mouth. But to be honest, this isn't really a very efficient way for trying to breathe in a fairly intense aerobic activity such as running. But if we can breathe more efficiently, it's just going to make the whole experience of running feel more pleasant, and that'll improve our performance and crucially make us feel less tired too. So in particular, as we're running faster, your muscles need as much oxygen as they can get. And quite simply, your mouth delivers more per breath than your nose. Now, okay, at slower conversational paces, nose breathing is most likely going to be fine. But as that intensity ramps up, you don't want to be limiting the amount of oxygen that you can bring to your body. Rather, you want to have the maximum oxygen uptake that is possible, and that's where your mouth wins all the time. Now, many runners have found that by breathing through both their nose and their mouth, they're able to get enough oxygen in. And now for my second tip during running, and that's focusing on our hydration. Now, quite simply, we need water to survive, and over the course of a day, we should be aiming to glug back, well, as many as 8 glasses of water. And we should definitely aim to have at least one of those prior to going out for our run. And try and be even more organised and fill a water bottle up, pop it in the fridge, so when we come back, we've got a nice cool drink, because I always find that much more refreshing. Now on to my next tip for mid-run, and that is pacing. Don't go out the door like a rocket. Just start off with a nice and steady jog, and over time increase that pace nice and evenly. And although it might sound really straightforward, don't stop. If you're feeling tired mid-run, then just dial the pace back and take it back to a nice and easy jog. Sure, if you're feeling exhausted, then stop and consider a power walk, but only for 30 seconds or so. Put that time cap on it, and then start jogging again. And over time, you're not going to need nearly as many of these walking segments in your run. And now for my final mid-run tip, and that is posture. Now, running with good and proper posture can go a long way to staving off mid-run fatigue, and that can work on 2 fronts. Now, firstly, because running with a good technique can make sure that we're going to be running more efficiently, and therefore we'll be going further for the same effort. And on that note, I actually did a whole video about the perfect run technique, which I will link to at the end of the video. And secondly, by having something to focus on other than the one foot in front of the other monotony that running can become, it can work as a rather useful distraction technique. So we've addressed before running, during running, and now it's time to tackle after a running. So as you're winding down the last portion of your run, the last 5 to 10 minutes should just be a nice and easy, gentle jog, gradually coming down to a walking pace as you finish. That just allows us to bring our breathing and heart rates down to good levels. The worst thing you can do is just stop dead in your tracks, all hunched over, or worse, collapsed in a heap at your front door. And as an aside, one thing that I always like to do when I finish running is some nice and gentle stretches. Focus on all the major muscle groups, your quads, your hamstrings, and your calves too. And I believe this just leaves you in a better place for starting your next run. So my second tip for after running is, well, taking a break. Only the most experienced of runners should aspire to daily running, so don't try and do this. It's only going to serve to leave you feeling, well, pretty tired both physically and mentally. A nice way of approaching your running is doing 1 day on, 1 day off, and this can build up to 2 days on, 1 day off, and even then up to 3 days of running on and 1 day off. And this is just a really manageable way for building up your tolerance and avoiding getting really tired from your running. Now, as I alluded to in the video already, there unfortunately are no magic bullets to suddenly not feeling tired when you're running. It is a tough thing to do after all, but for the most part I do reckon that's what attracts a lot of us to the sport in the first place. And I do think that if you follow some of these tips that I've suggested in this video and implement them into your routine, I defy you not to feel less tired the next time you're running. Now hopefully you've enjoyed this video, so please hit that thumb up like button, find the globe on screen to get all the other videos on our channel. And if you want to see the video that I talked about in this video about how to run with perfect run technique, you can find that here. And if you want to see another video that Mark and Heather did about how to run off the bike, you can get that here.